The communists call not only for extensive chaos within the cities, but for putting to the torch every village, every forest, every field, and every barn. The plan is for raging fires from one city to the next. The reason? Well, first, there's the value of sheer destruction. Secondly, it would force us to deploy our defenses and rescue units over the widest possible area. Then they can be picked off from ambush one by one. And the third value of massive fire to the communists is psychological. When at night the only light he has to see by is the flickering red from flames leaping into the sky, he'll become paralyzed with fear and panic as they strike at the community's power centers. Any all-out minority revolution must create a state of crisis wherein almost all of the male population would be forced to remain in their homes to protect their property and family. A few years of violent, sporadic, and highly destructive uprisings will set the stage for the grand finale. America could be brought to her knees in 90 days of highly organized, fierce fighting, sabotage, and massive firestorm.
Well, my friend,
the communists call not only for extensive chaos within the cities, but for putting to the torch every village, every forest, every field, and every barn. The plan is for raging fires from one city to the next. The communists call not only for extensive chaos within the cities, but for putting to the torch every village, every forest, every field, and every barn. The plan is for raging fires from one city to the next. The reason? Well, first, there's the value of sheer destruction. Secondly, it would force us to deploy our defenses and rescue units over the widest possible area. Then they can be picked off from ambush one by one. And the third value of massive fire to the communists is psychological. When at night the only light he has to see by is the flickering red from flames leaping into the sky, he'll become paralyzed with fear and panic as they strike at the community's power centers. Any all-out minority revolution must create a state of crisis wherein almost all of the male population would be forced to remain in their homes to protect their property and family. A few years of violent, sporadic, and highly destructive uprisings will set the stage for the grand finale. America could be brought to her knees in 90 days of highly organized, fierce fighting, sabotage, and massive firestorm.
well, my
Yeah, Marcus Conte reporting. I don't know where this came from. This is somebody putting it up. Mr. Obvious. Mr. Obvious put that little clip together. Thank you, Mr. Obvious. I don't know the origin of that clip, but it's pretty good, right? I see how it talks about the conspiracy theory. Am I lopsided right now? I got to straighten myself out. That's better. That's better. I feel like I'm going downhill. I'm on a slant. I'm living on a hill. But the clip brings to light the notion, light, no pun intended, the idea that all the forest fires, the raging fires that I haven't really spoke about. I didn't realize how severe it was. I didn't realize that all of California, Oregon, and Oregon, not Oregon, Oregon, and Washington State are all up in fucking flames and smoke and thousands of miles of choke-like smoke. No, but there's no, it's not, it has nothing to do with climate change. This is something different. This is conspiratorial. Somebody is lighting these fires. But here's the deal. I want to talk about today is extremes. We're living, I keep saying that we've passed the tipping point in not only just, in terms of culture, in terms of everything we see, the economy, climate, behavior, human behavior. Oh my God, people are killing each other, fighting over whose diaper covers more of their nose and less of their ass. Just chaos, right? Fake elections, politicians that don't represent the people anymore, just talk shit. We're living in extremes, and I say that it has everything to do with a shifting climate. Now, people will disagree with that and say, "Oh no, Conte, it's part of the evolution of the planet. The planet, see, things changed as the planet evolves, things change, and you have to change with it." Yeah, okay, but in that change, there are extremes within the planet. There are extremes right now, and guess who the most extreme species is right now? It's humans sucking the oil out of the ground, fracking, starting earthquakes, polluting the oceans. Right. So I'm going to give you some statistics. Now, if you don't believe that, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Is that part of a natural evolution? Yeah. It's when it's, for example, there's too many dinosaurs, and the dinosaurs eat up all the trees, and there's no food left, and then the dinosaurs eat each other, and it causes an eco disbalance, a disbalance in the ecosystem. Right? So humans, whether you believe it or not, I know the idea that some say, humans are a cancer on the planet. Well, if you study cancer, yeah, that would be accurate, where there's one thing, there's one growth pulling all of the resources of the other until it kills the other. Now, will the planet die off? Are the scientists right in terms of the numbers? A 4 degree click up in Celsius, 4 degrees upward, and the planet is fucked, and the polar ice caps will melt and throw the coastal water line up 30 meters or whatever it is. That doesn't happen. They're saying that will happen, ultimately will happen, and it looks like we've crossed a tipping point, but it still takes, it could take decades. It could take centuries before that water actually, does it. And centuries is not a lot of time in terms of, millions of years of Earth. All right, so that's what I'm saying, right? So if you disagree, if you think climate change is fake, if you think that human activity is not having any effect on the planet itself, and this is not your program, man. Go someplace else, man. Go hang out with the Trump tried and true or something. Right? Because that's what we're going to talk about. I'm going to try to be objective, and I am objective. I always am objective. I look at the details, and of course I have an opinion because, hey, listen, without an opinion, what are you, right? You're nobody. So we're going to look at some of that. We'll look at the horrific shooting. The guy, some punk, some scumbag jumps out, some coward, and fires on 2 cops sitting in Santa Monica Beach in Cali, just sitting there eating a sandwich or something, or guarding something, and some psychopath shoots them through the window. And what's interesting about that is they still haven't found the psychopath who did the shooting. And they got a $100,000 bounty on his head. What that tells me right away is a whole 24 hours later and they don't have the suspect. That means that's a lone wolf, which is scary. It means that the person didn't run back to the comfort of some Antifa, some organized outfit. They're operating as a lone wolf. Because if they did run back to those organizations, they would have been found out, right? Because all of those Antifa guys, all the people you think are like, wearing masks and nobody knows who they are, they know exactly who the fuck they are. So it tells me that you should be looking at a lone wolf theory in finding the fuck that shot these 2 cops. And there's a lot of other little news. We'll just get through the whole thing. A little news on Assange, poignant statements by what's his name, Greenwald. I forget his first name, Glenn Greenwald, right? And we'll look at the actual shooting. I got the clip of that. I think everybody has seen it already. But Trump chirped in on that. Says give him the death penalty, string him up. And again, wildfires. Let's look at, we're going to look at some of the objective. I want to look at some of the studies that are out there, and you make up your own mind. Listen, I know, doing what I do, doing this, right? Even if I get 1 million fucking people following, watching my news program in the morning, right? If it happens, right? 1 million, those same million in a year from now are going to hate my fucking guts, right? Because they see following the trend as betrayal to the cause. Because, for example, not even 6 months ago, I wanted to see Bernie Sanders win because of certain things that he was saying, right? And now, since Bernie Sanders is out of the picture, now I don't care to see Trump or Biden win. I don't really have an opinion of. I think that they're both disasters in their own way, but I think that in terms of who is going to win and who is saying the right thing to the American people at this time, that would be Donald Trump. So you see how I can piss people off, right? But I accept that. I fully accept that in all its disaster. So while you're here, and if you're still here and you didn't get sand in your vagina over the fact that we might just mention climate change. We might just have to mention it. Human activity on Earth, fucking everything up. If you're still here, kindly become a Patreon of this channel, and you can see my banned YouTube videos here on BitChute. Hit the tip jar, that's PayPal, and thank you very much for the people that have already done that, and fuck you very much for the people that haven't. You know what I mean. And the Patreon, which is an ongoing support for this channel. I have details. You can look at the idiot LARPers. I think they all quieted down. I think they're still eating each other. Who knows? And the case of white privilege. Get your white privilege out of here. Is heating up. It's heating up in the New York State Division of Human Rights. So kindly jump on board. Don't be a dick in the chat. Thank you, Vinny DiMartini on the chat. Thank you, Carlito Bragante is here. SG Commander, Steven Zorfsky, and thank you, Bill West, for sending me some clips. Bill West sends some good clips. I like your clips, Bill. I like your clips. Not all of them, but some of them. Don't get pissed off if I don't use every clip that you send. I like a lot of them. So this is. I want to start here. This guy's kind of interesting. He's talking about the effects of taking people's temperature. Now, that's what I'm talking about. Extreme human behavior, extreme climate. Right? I think we've hit a tipping point in climate, and I think it's affecting our brains. Right? Is it ultraviolet radiation causing us to go crazy and push to extremes? Right? Extreme. Everything is extreme. Right? Extreme virus. Extreme. Everything, extreme behavior. Right? People are killing each other. Right? But here's some example of extreme behavior. Here's a guy, a doctor, talking about pointing a thermometer gun at someone's head.
I want to talk to you about the temperature checks they're doing with the temperature guns, and I want to read you a post which was on Solutions Empowerment, but I do not know where it was reposted from. And there's a couple of things to think about. The very act of pointing a gun at someone's head and normalizing that, particularly towards, well, anyone's head, but particularly the children, it's just, it has to have an effect on you at an energetic level, and it's terribly wrong. But there's also other things to think about too, particularly with regard to your pineal gland, which is vitally important and something which is under constant attack and has been for a long time, because it's the bridge, if you will, or the gateway is probably a better one, to the higher energy realms, the spirit worlds. Anyway, let me read you this. And this is from an Australian nurse.
So he makes a good point about pointing. You're pointing a fucking thermometer at someone's head, a gun. It's a gun. Why does it have to be a goddamn gun? Pointing at the pineal gland, right? That's a gland right in the middle of your forehead. That's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to make a point that it's bizarre behavior. They're going to do this in New York City restaurants where you walk in and they point a thermometer gun at your head to your and radiate your pineal gland. Ah, shit, man. I need my pineal gland for something else.
I'm really worried. I've started implementing the new protocols in force. One of my new tasks is taking and recording each person's temperature. I aim for the center of their forehead with my thermometer-shaped gun. I pull the trigger, wait for the beep, and record the temperature. I always apologize to the person before proceeding. After doing this a dozen or more times, I suddenly had a realization. Are we being desensitized to be targeted at the head and also causing potential health issues by aiming an infrared ray to the pineal gland?
I would answer that question for you, doctor. Yes, we are. We're being desensitized, gaslit. if you care to, if you care to do it. Put your mask on, go outside, be afraid. All right, don't show any emotion. Don't speak. Don't get too close to people. What better way to shut people up than put a muzzle on them, right? Fucking stupid people, right? The sheep.
So
Anyway, that's all I wanted to say about that. That this business of getting a gun, I've never had a thermometer pointed at my head. If the store requires it, I ain't going in. I'm not going in. I am not going in. I stood online. I watched. I didn't stand online, but I watched at the Apple store while they two thugs, two fucking bouncer looking idiots, standing outside with thermometer guns, standing by the line to get into the Apple store, and I'm not going to go in. I said, hey, can I get a sample of that? And he was like, no. They were dicks. They were jerk offs, big thug jerk offs with thermometer guns. That's fucking normal. That's normal to go shopping. Are you fucking kidding me? I'm out of there, right? So, what else we got? Now, this is interesting. Chinese military calls U.S. destroyer of world peace. Wow, China shooting from the hip. China's got a thermometer gun of their own. Are they right? Chinese military calls U.S. destroyer of world peace. Quote, destroyer of world peace, citing millions dead and displaced in Iraq, Syria, Libya. Is China right in saying that? Is the guy next door right in saying that our bushes are too high? That there's too much noise coming from our side of the fence? That our behavior is erratic and fucking up the world community? Yeah, they are. They are accurate because we did all that. We killed people in Iraq over, weapons of mass destruction. So who's the bad guy is what I'm trying to say. We keep pointing a goddamn finger. I say when you point your finger, three are pointing back at you. Oh, yeah, you did it. Three are pointing, you did it. You fucking did it. So stop pointing your finger. Following the U.S. and China imposing tit-for-tat restrictions on each other's diplomacy embassy staff, China's defense ministry on Sunday blasted the U.S. as the destroyer of world peace. The statements are specifically in response to the Department of Defense's releasing a report earlier this month, which predicts that over the next decade, China's nuclear warhead stockpile, currently estimated to be in the low 200s, is projected to double in size. Chinese Defense Ministry spokesman Colonel Wu Quan responded, quote, many years of evidence shows that it is the U.S. that is the fermenter, like fermented beverage, that the U.S. is the fermenter of regional unrest, the violator of international order, and the destroyer of world peace. Yeah, that's what we do because we're big and we're bad and we got 140 military bases all over the country and we need more and more and more to fill our coffers with more money and more stuff. What are we going to do without our stuff, right? What the fuck, right? We got to take it from somebody, right? If we want to live in this life with how are we going to live without stuff? We need our stuff, right? So we got to go take it from somebody else. Take their resources, suck the resources out of their ground because our grounds are empty. Are we doing it? Yeah, we are. Are we doing it? Are they doing it to some degree too? Yeah, but are they? Is it accurate to say that the United States is a top culprit of world disease? Yeah. U.S. actions in Iraq, Syria, Libya, and other countries over the past 2 decades have resulted in the deaths of more than 800,000 people and displacement of millions. Rather than reflecting on itself, the U.S. issued a so-called report that made false comments about China's normal defense and military construction. He said in the statement, quote, we call on the U.S. to view China's national defense and military construction objectively and rationally, ceasing making false statements and related reports, and take concrete action to safeguard the healthy development of bilateral military relations. Now, this is not to say that China is an angel. China are are angels hovering over us, doing everything correctly and giving us good orderly direction. No, they are not. They are a competitor. But it is accurate for them to point out that we have killed 1 million fucking people or more in Iraq, Syria, and Libya. So just a point that the world is watching. We're not this notion that America is revered all over the world. It once was. I think after World War II, it certainly was, and certainly when Reagan was expanding the empire by selling it. Reagan was smart. Trump is smart too, but Obama was not smart. The way the Democrats operate is through the military-industrial complex, whereas Reagan sold the American dream. He sold America on the attraction principle, where look, everybody loves us. They love our Nike shoes, and they love our Michael Jackson and our Michael Jordan and our lifestyle. That's what Reagan sold the world on, and it worked to some degree. Right? It worked for a while, but now we're more of a bunch of liars and military thugs on the global scale. Just something to think about. Extremes, right? We've moved to an extreme, right? To protect our way of life, right? What the fuck does that mean, right? Our way of life is stepping on someone else so that they don't have a life. Right? Think about it. Just food. This show today is food for thought. This guy had some. This is pretty brilliant too. You talk about
any media.
You talk about the people getting the facts wrong. This kid put together some facts on COVID-19 and what people really think about it in terms of death. Their fear of dying is disproportional to the evidence, right? In this program, we look at the evidence. We know that less than 0.07% of people of the 2% of the population that contracted COVID-19, whatever that is, die, right? Very, very, very low amount of death, way lower than heart disease, diabetes, cancer, any of those things. Fractionally lower death rate than all of those other ailments. But that's not how people perceive it, and that's what this kid stumbled on. This is pretty good.
Your attention provides us with a stunning insight. A survey by research firm Keck CNC asked Americans how many people they thought had died from coronavirus in the United States. Out of 1,000 people asked, the average answer for how many people had died from COVID-19 in America was 9% of the population. That's almost 30 million people, to emphasize.
Well, think about what they're saying, right? They're surveying, right? Surveys, polls, right? Are they accurate? I don't know, but it's kind of funny, right? That when, one more time, when outside of the United States, people think that 9% of the United States population died of COVID-19. 9%. That would be, 30 million people, right?
Was 9% of the population. That's almost 30 million people. To emphasize, the average American thinks coronavirus, which has killed around 155,000 people in the US, has actually killed 30 million. That's 225 times higher than the real figure.
No. So I got that wrong. It's the people in this country. Americans think that 9% of the population died of coronavirus. That's fucking crazy, right? That's crazy. That is massive gaslighting. Put your mask on. Put your motherfucking mask on. You're going to kill me.
That's incredible. Americans also overestimate the number of total coronavirus cases by a factor of 20. It's a similar case in the UK, where respondents said coronavirus had killed 7% of the population, which equates to 5 million people. It's actually killed less than 50,000. So Brits think that coronavirus is 100 times deadlier than it actually is. The survey also reveals that across all countries, people think that 5 to 12% of people have caught coronavirus. In reality, even at the height of the pandemic, in England, for example, only 0.27% of the community population had COVID-19. So to reiterate, the average American thinks that coronavirus has killed 30 million people in the US. That's more than 29,800,000 than it actually has. Gee, I wonder why people overestimate the severity of COVID to such an alarming degree. Can't quite put my finger on what it might be.
Coronavirus chaos, a dire new warning.
That was a good report. Thank you, man. I'm just going to play that little piece of it. This is Paul Joseph Watson. Huge audience. Let me subscribe to this guy. I don't know who he is. Paul Joseph Watson, 1.84 million subscribers. I just hit this subscribe. Thank you, mate. Thank you, mate. If it couldn't get more repulsive, look at this one. As we knew, Bloomberg was going to try to buy. First, he tried to stop Bernie. That was the initial mission of the Democrats, was to stop Bernie Sanders, because you can't have people talking about de-escalating banks and it's not our fault, it's their fault, blah, blah, blah. Right? So you had to stop Bernie first, and that worked. Bloomberg took $600 million out of his pocket to shut Bernie the fuck up, and it worked. Right? They got Bernie off the stage, and they elevated their puppet Joe Biden. Now Bloomberg would have been happy being the puppet, but it didn't work out for him. They went with Biden, which we knew they would. So in a counterpunch, Bloomberg now pledges 100 million, add 2 zeros, $100 million to flip Florida for Joe Biden. Now, imagine this. Imagine the campaign blitz that's going to go on in Florida to flip Florida blue for Biden. $100 million in Bloomberg ads, which historically have worked pretty well. It worked if it's concentrated. If he concentrates on Florida, where Trump claims to be, its hometown, right? But Biden would still have to flip Michigan. He would still have to flip Wisconsin. He would still have to flip Pennsylvania. Arguably Jersey may go red. So is he going to Ohio? Can Biden flip the Rust Belt? I don't think so. But it is interesting that Bloomberg is putting up $100 million. He's worth $53 billion. So $100 million is really rather nothing. He's also buying himself leverage. If Biden should squeak by, Bloomberg is going to be in the cat seat, because Bloomberg's responsible for crushing Bernie Sanders with $600 million in fake ads, right? And now giving Biden $100 million to flip Florida. Will it work? Can $100 million turn Joe Biden, the dead guy, the senile guy, and put him above Donald Trump, the president of the United States, and flip the state? I don't know. Money talks, man. Money is money. Money is money. What do I think? I don't think so. I think that the even if you could flip the liberal parts of Florida, like the lower southern part, like Miami and fucking Dade County and all that shit, right? All the liberal parts, right? Even the radical Cubans, all those people. I think the Cubans and Venezuelans. I think they're I don't really know what they're behind, but because of the gaslighting effect, who even fucking knows? You have to go there and ask people. But what I would say is that $100 million is a lot of money, and Bloomberg is going to try to flip Florida. We'll see how that works out for him. So a little news on how we doing, man? How we doing in the chat, everybody? What the fuck up? What's the fuck up? How many people we got watching? I got some people watching, man, as we heat up a little bit here. What else we got? Oh, yeah. So I thought this was a very poignant commentary by Glenn Greenwald on Julian Assange. If you forgot, Julian Assange is the guy that fought for our right to free speech and freedom of the press. He's not even a fucking American, and he did it. Right? He's a publisher. Right? Before Julian Assange, everything that he did was legal, and the New York Times and Washington Post and all the publications in America did exactly what Julian Assange did, except Julian Assange did it better, and he did it more at a grassroots level, and for that he's being prosecuted. And right now we're in his extradition hearing. The week is going on right now. He's sitting in Belmarsh prison. He's not even in the court, right? And they want to extradite him here for espionage, right? For publishing stuff. But here's I couldn't sum it up better. Here's Glenn Greenwald summing up to Tucker Carlson what the fuck is going on with Julian Assange right now. Check it out.
The public. He worked with the New York Times, The Guardian, to publish very embarrassing information about the endless war machine, about the neocons who were working in the Obama administration. To understand what's happening here, we can look at a very similar case, which is one that President Trump recently raised, which is the prosecution by the Obama administration as well of Edward Snowden for the same reason, that he exposed the lies that James Clapper told. He exposed how there's this massive spying system that the NSA and the CIA control that they can use against American citizens. And obviously, this isn't coming from President Trump. He praised WikiLeaks in 2016 for informing the public. He knows firsthand how these spying systems that Edward Snowden exposed can be abused and were abused in 2016. This is coming from people who work in the CIA, who work in the Pentagon, who insist on endless war, and who...
This is the point of this is a tremendous weakness on Trump to not give leniency to Julian Assange and Snowden. Right? He even said, I think he has spoken about Snowden recently, but Julian Assange is still being tortured, and for what reason? For publishing stuff. So it's a reflection on Trump because he's the president and he's leading up the Justice Department to do this. All of these fake charges of espionage came up under William Barr. They may have been penned by what's his name, Jeff Sessions, but Trump is championing it, and it's ugly. It's ugly. Trump was a cheerleader for WikiLeaks. Remember, I love WikiLeaks. And now Julian Assange is shit, right?
Believe that they're a government unto themselves, more powerful than the president. I posted this weekend a speech from Dwight Eisenhower warning that this military-industrial complex, what we now call the deep state, is becoming more powerful than the president. Chuck Schumer warned right before President Trump took office, that President Trump challenging the CIA was foolish because they have many ways to get back at anybody who impedes them. That's what these cases are about, Tucker.
Chuck Schumer said they have 7 ways to Sunday to get you. That's what he said about the deep state. Chuck Schumer said that on TV. You don't want to go against the deep state, the CIA and the FBI, because they got 7 ways to Sunday to get you. That's what he said.
They're punishing Julian Assange and trying to punish Edward Snowden for informing the public about things they have the right to know about the Obama administration. They're basically saying to President Trump, you don't run the country even though you were elected, we do, and they're daring him to use his pardon power to put an end to these very abusive prosecutions, one which resulted in 8 years of punishment for Julian Assange for telling the truth, the other one which resulted in 7 years of exile for Edward Snowden of being in Russia simply for informing the public and embarrassing political officials who are very powerful.
So in 30 seconds, the president could pardon Julian Assange right now and end this. Is that correct?
They wouldn't have to pardon him, Tucker. All they have to do is throw the indictment in the garbage. He hasn't been. You can't pardon someone that hasn't been convicted of a crime. Assange has not been convicted of a crime. There's a shit indictment on the table. Tucker, do your homework. I just throw the fucking. All you got to do is throw the indictment in the garbage. I hope Glenn Greenwald straightens that out.
He could pardon him and Edward Snowden, and there's widespread support across the...
Pardon in the figurative manner, right? Pardon means someone's convicted of a crime and you used it, right? You overturn the decision or you overturn the sentencing. Assange hasn't been sentenced to anything. It's all speculation, right? Just take the shit and take the indictment, throw it in the garbage, and let the guy go.
Political spectrum on both the right and the left for doing both. It would be politically advantageous for the president. The only people who would be angry would be Susan Rice, John Brennan, Jim Comey, and James Clapper, because they're the ones who both of them exposed.
Glenn Greenwald, I love that guy. I love the way he's very poignant in the way he points it out. So, I mean, that's a thorn. It's a thorn in Trump's side by having Assange sit in that jail cell rotting. That just doesn't make sense. Trump's supposed to be Mr. Free Press, right? And so here's the clip. All right, let's talk about it. So a guy was 2 cops sitting there eating donuts or whatever they're doing, and some very short punk. Look how short this guy is, right? Look at the height of the car. He's like very short. It's like a fucking midget or something. 5 feet. Look at that. Boom, 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 boom. Maybe it's a kid. I don't know, but this is fire empties the gun, right? Shoots the cops. The cops got hit in the head. It's rather disgusting. This is released by L.A. County sheriffs. 2 sheriffs. This is alarming because this creates very loose fingers when it comes to cops shooting back now, because they're paranoid. No cops now. You won't see any cops sitting on the side of the road anywhere for a while. That's what happens, right? The cops don't respond. They're like, fuck this shit. I'm not putting on this uniform and sitting there taking my lunch and get shot in the fucking head, right? So they're gonna start shooting back, or they're not gonna park in these random spots. So let's see what we know about this. So 2 L.A. County deputies out of surgery after ambush shooting in Compton. So that's the good news. The good news is that they're both alive. Who knows to what degree they're alive.
We founded Love Every because we want...
Fuck. Commercial. The 2 Los Angeles County deputies who were shot in the head during a caught-on-video ambush in their patrol car are expected to survive after emerging from surgery, according to reports. Good for them. Sheriff Alex Villanova called the condition of the deputies, a 31-year-old mother and a 24-year-old man, a double miracle. It looks like they're both going to be able to recover, Villanova said Sunday. We'll see what the long-term impact is. I don't know, man. When you get shot in the head, it's not good. It's not good. Shit's not going to work completely the way it used to work if you get shot in a bullet in the fucking head. So, consequences, right? It looks like they're going to be able to recover. We'll see what the long-term impact is. We don't know yet, but they survived the worst, he said, during a community dialogue. The sheriff's department announced it is offering a $100,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the suspect who was caught on video firing at the deputies at point-blank range at 7 p.m. in Compton. See some photos. Just cops and guns. Cops and guns. What else? The suspect was seen wearing black clothing and a black cap. They then took off running. What a hell of a description. Everybody in fucking... why didn't they say he's wearing a mask? He's wearing a mask and a black hat and black clothes. That's Antifa. That's the whole fucking... That's me walking around without the mask. This is just a somber reminder that this is a dangerous job and the actions and words have consequences. Our job does not get any easier because people do not like law enforcement. Blah, 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 blah. So it's a hell of a thing to happen. Trump tweets out, animals that must be hit hard. Ooh. So Trump tweets out, get them. Get them. Right? The fucking animals, he called them. Trump is calling these guys animals. Animals. What's up, everybody? What is up? What's up in the chat, man? How we doing? Weevil Girls here. David Bros. Bill West. What's up, brother from a different mother? They did that in New York City a few years back. I don't know what you're talking about. Torturing Assange. So anyway, Trump chirps in. That's pretty big. The president of the United States has an opinion of the alleged midget. I mean, I see a midget. I don't know. Maybe it's the angle. Maybe it's the camera. But I mean, look at it. Am I right in saying that? Am I right in saying that it's a midget? Look at the head. Look how high. Look how what is the height of the roof of a car? Just look at the image, right? What is the height? I can't do that. What is the height? Let me look at this one. Let's solve this problem here. Let's solve this problem for everybody because there's too many jerkies out there, right? So what is the height? Let's look one more time. We'll just put some information on the record here. Right there. What is the height of the car? The hood, the roof of the car. This guy's head is literally lower than the roof of the car, and his arm extended fully is only at the window. Now, if it were me, I'm 6 feet, I'd be shooting down. So you're looking for How come the police can't get that right? You're looking for someone probably about 5 feet, right? And let's watch him run for a second. Let's watch him run. Is it a kid, or is it just someone? Is it a young kid? Is it a 14-year-old kid? Or is it someone just deformed, running a little weird? That's all I wanted to say. It's definitely somebody short. You're looking for somebody about 5 feet or less. All right. He's wearing shorts. He runs. I don't know, man. It's a weird video. This is all we have, but he's definitely a shorty. Right? Definitely a shorty. That's all I wanted to say about that. So what else do we know? Trump says suspect in ambush shooting of L.A. sheriff's deputies must be hit hard. Animals. That's what Trump said, right? What else? What else do we know about this nonsense? So this is the original video. That's all we have. One video, no suspect, dressed in black. Why don't they say he was wearing shorts too? He wasn't dressed in black. He's a shorty, so we'll keep following that. We'll keep following that, man. I hope they get the guy. I hope he, lone wolf theory is that if with all the surveillance and all the surveillance that's being done on the killers, the Antifa, the thugs that are shooting people and causing all the mayhem, to think that law enforcement and FBI don't know who these people are. I bet because I was at a rally once or twice that my name is on the list. I followed the Antifa protest / riot / looters for 10 miles in Manhattan when they were here. So I'm on record. My cell phone was in my pocket I was using it, right, throughout the whole rally. So is Marcus Conte on the list of Antifa? Probably, but who cares, right? Because it's just a scattered thing. It's something that you have to do, and if ever brought to question, I would just tell you I'm a fucking reporter. That's what I was doing there. Here's my video. Here's my evidence. But what I was trying to say is to think that people that are involved in this group on a higher level are not being surveilled is ridiculous. And so when someone gets shot like that, if it is in fact a coordinated effort by Antifa or someone looking to move up the ranks or looking for a pat on the back for doing what he did, they would usually run back to the group and brag and talk about it. And that's when they catch you. That's when they get you, because there's probably spies and informants on the inside already. And in light of 24 hours passing and they still don't have the guy, they don't have a suspect, that is indication that, in my view, that you're looking for a lone wolf, someone who just got off their chair one day and said, has this gun, and they don't have a gun, they don't have the weapon, they just have bullets, right? And they're pulling the bullets out of the cops' heads. Right? So if they don't have somebody yet, that's an indication of a lone wolf theory. So we'll see. So that's it for the shooting for now. So if you don't want to hear about climate change, you can go your merry way right now. But we're gonna talk about some of the reality, some real facts of what's happening right now. Here's an organization. You might not agree, right? Here's a African lady with a lizard, right? So because she's black and there's a lizard, it must be true, right? Living Planet Report 2020. Bending the curve of biodiversity loss. Look, think of being in the playground for a second. Think of being in the playground. You know when you see the seesaw, right? And there's a fat kid on one side of the seesaw and the skinny kid on the other side, and the skinny kid can't get any game. He's got no game because the fat kid runs the game because he's fat, and it's out of balance. You see what I'm saying? But when you have two equal kind of weights, then you can have a little bit of a competition of who can hold the other one up or who can hold the other one down, or whatever the game you play on a seesaw, right? That's called balance, right? When you stretch out in yoga and your leg is tired It's not because your leg is weak. It's because you're not balanced. One leg can easily hold up your whole body if you're balanced. You do it all the time with two legs. But when you do it with one, you find yourself wobbling, and it causes your leg to work harder. Or arm, like when you're doing like a downward dog kind of position. Your arms are tired mostly because you're not balanced. You're not in the middle of the weight. And once you find that balance, suddenly it becomes very easy. It's also in most endurance sports, it's like that. You say, how could somebody run 5-minute mile for miles, for 26 miles, the length of a marathon? It's because they find a balance in the stride. That's what it is. When the balance is off, shit gets ugly. Shit starts to break. Right? Humans are the fat kid on the seesaw right now. We're disproportionately bending the arc of our future on the planet. There's too many humans. Now, you may not agree with that, but let's just look at the facts. Do we need more? We got wildfires burning the fucking planet to death. We've got people losing their minds. We've got polluted water, and this research right here, which is, it's sad, but true. The Global Living Planet Index continues to decline. It shows an average 68% decrease in population sizes of mammals, birds, amphibians, reptiles, and fish between 1970 and 2016. A 94% decline in the LPI for the tropical subregions of the Americas is the largest fall observed in any part of the world. Why does it matter? Because of the balance of the system. We're dependent. You say, fish in the ocean, I just eat them, but we're dependent on the fish to eat other things, to have a balance, to keep the ecosystem correct. Right? And when you start throwing off ecosystems, you throw off the balance of the air, the balance of the ocean, right? And then what happens? The planet could start to heat up, and then you have sporadic fire because it's just easier, dry, drought, extreme heats, extreme wind. As a result of what? As a result of things like this, right? The 68%, almost 70% of all other species, including insects. I think it's like there's millions and millions of species on the planet. Now, do you believe it? Are you telling me, you're going to tell me that this isn't true, that this isn't happening, that we're not extincting the planet, and it's not human behavior, that it's some sort of other thing, some sort of maybe even godly thing? It's the will of God? Are you fucking kidding me? It's so obvious. It's so obvious that we're choking the planet at every fucking turn. We're polluting. Who polluted the water? The trees polluted the water. It's their fault. Who's doing it? It's who's pulling all of the fish out of the fucking ocean and eating them? Is it the sharks? Blame the sharks. No, it's us doing it. It's us doing it. Who's chopping down the rainforests to build houses? We're doing it. We humans are causing the disbalance in biodiversity. Now, what are you going to do about it? I know. What are you going to do about it? What can you possibly do about it? It's too late. Are we past the tipping point? Well, I want to talk about that too. I think we are. According to the scientists, they say 3 or 4 degrees centigrade click up in temperature is the point of no return. But there's a tipping point that they claim that we've already passed at about 2 degrees centigrade up in temperature. I think you define the tipping point as when shit goes crazy, when people start getting crazy, when fires start breaking out, when suddenly you've got storms in areas that never had these storms before with 140 mile an hour winds, ripping fucking houses up, right? Fire ravaging the West Coast like never before. Is that new? Is it the natural, it's just the earth. That's what happens. It just happens. Yes, it is. It is a natural occurrence. It's a natural reaction to disease, to something in the system that's over consuming, that's taking more away than anything else. and putting it in their pocket, right? Well, look around us. We've assembled all of the resources in the planet, wood and metal and electronics. I'm not saying that it's your fault and Conte's innocent. I'm saying that we as a species are choking the fucking planet. What is so hard, sucking the oil out of the ground and burning it into the air, right? So that we can fly and move our cars around, right? You know what I'm saying? Or creating earthquakes, creating giant gaps under the ocean, causing tsunamis. That's us doing that. It's a natural occurrence if you think of it as, well, everything gets sick, right? And that's the natural. Now because we're killing the planet. Have other species done it on the Earth prior to us? Yeah. But that's just the way it goes. So as the balance goes off, right, shit starts to break down. Now we are at a point where it's creating psychological disorders, creating if the climate is causing excessive fire, right? The heating up and drought, and then is it Antifa doing it? Is it kids lighting the forests up with fireworks? That's a possibility. We'll look at that. But for the most part, the fires wouldn't spread as they are right now if it wasn't us contributing to the problem. All right? Inescapable. In fucking escapable. That's close to 70% of the planet is extinct. Life. 70% of life on the planet is extinct as a result of the humans. And what was 1970? Population was about 3 billion. What is it now? 7.8 billion. We are approaching 8 billion humans. 8 billion with a B on the planet. Now that's just the facts. You can disagree with me all you want. You can, jump up and down. Who gives a shit? Too little, too late. What about carbon emissions? Right? So what's one thing we can do is we can move towards some sort of nuclear or battery operated system for transportation rather than everybody has a car burning that's only 100 years old. Only in 100 years of a planet that's billions of years old, 5 billion, how old is the Earth? 5 million or 5 billion? I think it's 5 billion, right? So in all that time on this rock, in 100 years, we've ripped holes in the ozone. We've polluted the air to the point in some areas where you can't even fucking breathe. We've polluted, 60, 70% of the oceans, if not all of it. Pollution diffuses in water like easy. So we've polluted the waters. And I just think that these are inescapable facts, right? You can, not agree with it or think that here's some politics. The Paris Climate Agreement of 2016 set humanity a bold challenge. Limit global warming to well below 2 degrees Celsius relative to temperatures before the industrial revolution. Acknowledge that even a 2-degree limit could have severe impacts on the world. The agreement made a further challenge, make efforts to limit the temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius. And they're saying that 3 or 4 degrees is the point where the polar ice caps melt down, creating excessive flooding on coastlines. So goodbye East Coast, goodbye West Coast, goodbye Texas, southern parts, right? Goodbye Florida. Florida will be underwater. Most of Puerto Rico, most of the fucking tropical islands will be gone. Hawaii will be 10 feet underwater. You'll be able to row a boat over fucking Hawaii. Is it true? Is it human activity causing it? Tell me, show me evidence that it's not. Show me evidence that it's some sort of natural occurrence that would have happened anyway without humans. And I'll tell you, you got your head up your ass, right? You don't know what you don't. How do you? Where's the common sense there? Right? Common sense tells you that you look at the big picture, you look at the whole picture, and you say, oh, it's the humans consuming all this shit, throwing shit in the ocean, right, and polluting the air. We're doing it. Inescapable. What's a tipping point? What does that mean, man? So, yeah, I mean, Nathan Purvis says polar bears are almost extinct. I think, too, like giraffes, lions, tigers are extinct. Can you imagine? Like when we were kids, you would never think that there would be no giraffes left on the planet. Right? We're killing every fucking thing. All that's left is humans and the animals that humans eat. Stop it. Right? Stop it. Go to a green diet. What's so hard about that? I've done it for 10 years. It's good. You feel better. Look at me. I'm in my 50s. Look how fucking beautiful I am. And look how beautiful my hair. You probably don't even know that your hair grows well, but it grows like shit because you're not healthy. But when you're healthy, you can do things like that, right? So green diet, green energy. It's not hard to do. It's not foofy lefty liberal thinking. It's common sense. That's what it is, right? That's the difference. You can't say because a bunch of leftist idiots are saying Green New Deal and say, oh, any talk of climate change is a leftist opinion of Green New Deal. It's not. The idea of human activity crushing the fucking planet at an alarming rate is very, very real. And something needs to change. Something needs to reverse. People's behavior, people's eating habits, people's travel habits, people's consumption has to become far less, more resourcely. Right? That's all I'm saying. Those are real facts, not left opinion, not right opinion. They are opinion. So here's what's this guy's name? Newsom and Jay Inslee speak. And again, I'm no fan of these people, but here's the actor / governor from California obnoxiously talking about climate change. Let's listen.
You have a heat dome over the entire west coast of the United States when you have temperatures, record-breaking temperatures, record droughts. Then you've got something else at play. California, folks, is America fast forward. What we're experiencing right here is coming to a community all across the United States of America unless we get our act together on climate change.
I couldn't agree more with that. I think that what we're seeing on the West Coast, what I'll say this, what happens in California is what's going to happen climatically across the country. And what's happening in New York in terms of economics, in terms of culture, people banging into each other and wearing masks, that's going the other way, right? And it's probably going to meet in the middle somewhere, right? New York has always set the tone in America for cultural change. New York tends to be about 10 years ahead of everybody else. And so what you're seeing in New York, that's why they're calling it the experiment right now. Right? New York, they're going to clear out retail. Everyone's going to be wearing a mask. And that slowly is going to infuse across the country, unless, of course, you stop it, which it's often hard because then it becomes fashionable and trendy. And then it's like, you see, it worked in New York. Right? But I think Newsom is correct in saying that what we're seeing in the West Coast in terms of the fires and the drought and the fires is spreading to the middle.
Stark warning there from California Governor Gavin Newsom after the worst week of wildfires ever up and down the Pacific coast. Apocalyptic scenes, at least 27 dead, dozens more missing, thousands forced to flee their homes. Portland, Seattle, and San Francisco now among the worst cities for air quality anywhere in the world. President Trump is heading to California tomorrow, and we're joined now by Washington Governor Jay Inslee, Oregon Senator Jeff Merkley. Thank you both for joining us this morning.
This story is bigger than coronavirus, if you ask me. This is really the story of our times. Coronavirus is just a symptom of extremes, living in the extremes. That's what it is. Coronavirus is an extreme virus. These wildfires are extreme climate behavior on Earth. Right? So, but the fires are big because this shit will burn your house down in a heartbeat.
And Senator Merkley, let me begin with you. I know you spent the day traveling your state yesterday. What have you learned? Where do things stand right now?
Yeah, George, it is apocalyptic. I drove 600 miles up and down the state. I never escaped the smoke. We have thousands of people.
600 miles and he didn't escape the smoke. That's fucking crazy, man. That's some crazy smoke.
People who have lost their homes. I could never have envisioned this. The east winds came over the top of the mountain, proceeded to turn the fires into blowtorches that went down and just incinerated a series of small towns like Blue River and Phoenix and Talent. Just you have community after community with fairgrounds full of people, refugees from the fires.
Governor Inslee, how's the situation in Washington State this morning?
Same situation. The skies are a smoke that we've never seen before except 2 or 3 years ago. It's apocalyptic. And it is maddening, Georgia, and I'll tell you why. I was in Malden the other day, a town that was absolutely decimated. 80% of the homes were burned down, and in southeastern Washington, talking to a woman who moved there to try to have a peaceful existence in a small town. And she just broke down and could not stop crying. And what struck me is, as I was listening to her, the only moisture in eastern Washington was the tears of people who've lost their homes and mingling with the ashes. And now we have a blowtorch over our states in the West, which is climate change. And we know that climate change...
I want to address one of the questions. That Watt says there is such a thing as forestry management. These states have neglected their forests. How does a forest, why do people have to take care of a forest? You don't think that the forest knows how to take care of itself? Think about it, Jerky. That the forest needs humans to take care of it. Just think for a second. I'm not knocking you. I think I appreciate the comment. But think about how ridiculous what you're saying is, that human beings are responsible for doing what? Preventing fire in a forest? No, it's us fucking causing it. If the humans weren't there, forests would be fine. The forests are reacting in a way, they're being consumed by our ignorance.
Is making fires start easier, spread faster, and intensify. And it is maddening right now that when we have this cosmic challenge to our communities with the entire west coast of the United States on fire, to have a president to deny that these are not just wildfires, these are climate fires. And if this is not a signal to the United States, I don't know what it will take, because as Governor Newsom suggested, it may not be fires in the Midwest, it's floods in Hamburg, which washed away Hamburg, Iowa. It's the rising seas that are drowning Miami Beach. It's the hurricanes in the East Coast. We need to act, and we need to act now. And these people whose homes were destroyed that I've seen with their tears in the last few days, they deserve action against climate change.
Do these changes have an effect on human behavior? Are people changing as a result of the changing atmosphere? I think they are. I don't know. I don't have any statistical evidence to prove that, other than behavioral study that people are getting crazy. But I would speculate that that this shift that I keep saying, this cosmic shift, this tipping point, this pivotal point on Earth, where viruses are killing people. Mediocre viruses kill off all the sick people because they can't defend themselves. Think of the sick people as the dry forest. That's all it is. It's inevitable that they're going to get wiped out. Right? And but does it have a psychological effect? Is it changing the weak mind? Is it infiltrating people's minds to believe things that are not actually happening? Is there a psychological trip going on? I think there are. I don't know exactly how to explain what I'm trying to explain, but I'll get there someday.
And Senator Murphy, the president did address that last night in Nevada. He actually bragged about leaving the Paris Climate Accords, and then went on to say this about the fires.
Spoke to the folks in Oregon, Washington. They never had anything like this. But it is about forest management. Please remember the words, very simple. Forest management, please remember.
It's part of it. Yeah, we could manage the forests by what? How? Manage what? Put more water onto the forests? And no, You can't stop. I mean, what? Build a wall around the forest so that the fire can't get into the forest? It's dry. What? It's 104 degrees in California. Forest management. Okay.
It's about forest management and other things, but forest management.
Is that contributing to this, Senator Merkley?
You know, the president has said it's all about raking the forest. It's just a big and devastating lie. We have the Cascade snowpacks have gotten smaller, our forests have gotten drier, our ocean has gotten warmer and more acidic, and this has been happening steadily over the last...
These two guys, by the way, Merkley and Inslee, are really experts on climate change. They, especially Inslee. They follow this stuff inside, outside, upside down. So they're somewhat credible in what they're saying. But again, they're leftists. They're on the left. They're whatever. They're human beings. They have an opinion. Is it politically motivated? Probably to some degree. But is it true? Is it true what they're saying? Yes, it's true.
Last several decades, these are consequences of a warming planet that have huge impacts on rural America with our forests, with our farming, with our fishing. This should not be blue or red. This should not be rural or urban. This is devastating to everyone. And we need, just on COVID, we need to have a president follow the science. We need to have a president now who follows the science on global warming. America not only has to get its own act in order, it has to help lead the world to take this on. This is a planetary scale tragedy of the commons that we need leadership to end.
One of the other signs of the times here, Governor Inslee, that we're seeing is that the response to this fire has been complicated by a lot of disinformation out there on social media. Any way to combat that?
Yes, vote, and vote on climate. Get out there and vote against any politician like Donald Trump who has downplayed climate change just like he's downplayed COVID. And for Donald Trump to say he's a hero of climate change is like saying he's a hero of masks against COVID. And this idea that
Trump is definitely, I would have to agree there. Trump is no hero of climate change because it's politically incorrect for Trump to say climate change, to repeat it, because that's a talking point for the left. That's unfortunate. But again, that's not what this show's about. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about, is the phenomena real? Is the phenomena of human activity causing these problems? Is it advancing the temperature of the planet, the dryness of the forests, the pollution in the air and in the water? Yes, it's us doing it.
Somehow we could have solved this problem by timber thinning is just a bunch of malarkey. I was in Bridgeport, Washington yesterday.
I hate that word, malarkey. It's just a bunch of malarkey.
A town that lost about 20 homes. And I looked at where the fire came from, and where it came from was grass and bunch grass and cheatgrass and sagebrush. It doesn't have a dang thing to do with thinning timber. It's just a bunch of malarkey. Now, there are places where it makes sense.
All right, so there's the two fine politicians from I think this guy's from Seattle, Washington, the governor of Washington, Inslee, and the other guy is both from Washington. I don't know where they're from, the West Coast guys. So let's watch some fires. Gavin Newsom on wildfire devastation. This is a little more.
Facing the most explosive conditions they've ever seen, firefighters are losing homes and lives across the West at historic rates, propelled by 45-mile-an-hour winds. Butte County's Bear Fire has claimed at least 10 lives, with 16 still missing. Visiting the scene of this unfolding catastrophe, California's governor sitting down exclusively with NBC News.
You've seen a lot of wildfires in your life. What do you make?
I know it's hard, but try just for the length of the video, for the time we have together. Try to put your politics aside. Try to enter the room and say, I am not a Democrat or Republican. I don't stand with Trump or Bernie or Biden or any of these idiots. Just look at the facts. That's all I'm saying. Look at the evidence all around you. The evidence that's coming out in this video, for example. Forget about the politics. Unfortunately, all we have to look at is the liberal talking heads who have made it a political, statement and a movement. But that doesn't mean just because they're saying it, you're not going to do it and it's fake. You see how you shoot yourself in the foot like that. I'm not going to listen to Newsom on climate change or Inslee or Merkley on climate change because they're leftist liberals and it's part of the leftist talking points. Yeah. But is it true? Is there truth to what they're saying? Is there truth to some of what Trump says in terms of, fake news and all the things that Trump offers? Yes. Right? That's the problem. That's the problem with a two-party system, is that it becomes politics rather than we actually need to do something, regardless of left or right. As human beings, we have to turn the boat around on this thing, is what I'm saying. So put your guns down and listen.
Of the ones you've seen this year.
This is America fast forward. California, the west coast of the United States, that includes Washington and obviously Oregon, are experiencing what people predicted would occur in 2040, 2050, but we're experiencing it today.
California's nightmare, now a searing reality for
Okay, Newsom looks like the Marlboro Man. You remember the fucking Marlboro Man?
tens of thousands with homes still in the path of flames. Among the nearly 30 major infernos that are out of control today in California, the Creek Fire near Fresno incinerated neighborhoods in minutes.
See, the alternative is you could stick to politics and stick to your guns, and California, Oregon, and Washington are going to burn the fuck down, and then they're coming for they're moving east. They're moving east. I'm all the way on the East Coast, so I don't get, it's going to be a long time. I mean, it'll just be fucking fire sales all over the country by the time it gets to me. But you know what I'm saying, man? Or that's the alternative if you just want to keep your head in the sand and say it's politics.
There is no downtime because Mother Nature doesn't give us that.
On the front lines, we saw firsthand why this blaze alone will threaten lives and property into the winter.
The lingering threat for firefighters continues nearly a week after this blaze first erupted. This is the problem. There is so much dry fuel here, the blaze could burn for months.
You know how many animals die in this thing? And you say, well, the extinction numbers are incorrect. 68% of all species on the planet are dead as a result of fucking our activity. Right? Think about it. There's your evidence, right? The forests are burning. We're chopping down the rainforests, the Amazon. It's us doing it.
With California torching through its billion-dollar budget to fight fires, critics say the state isn't doing enough to suppress them.
We can get more aggressive. We can be more prescriptive, more targeted in terms of our vegetation management, forest management, our prevention strategy, land use strategies, our technologies on suppression, and our personnel in terms of pre-positioning a lot of our assets. But there is something so fundamental that also cannot be denied, and that is climate change.
It's not just California struggling to contain the flames. In Oregon, half a dozen towns decimated when walls of fire exploded over the region. Thousands of homes may be gone. Tonight, 500,000 people, or 10% of those who live in Oregon, have received evacuation alerts.
Antifa did it. It's Antifa lighting the fires. Is it? I don't know. We're going to find out.
I know he was trying to save everything, but...
Tony Akpan and wife Robin tried to save their home and business, but lost it all. They took this video before they fled.
Bill West makes a funny point. Now climate fires are Trump's fault. Of course they're going to blame everything on Trump. Anything that goes wrong, it's Trump's fault. Of course, right? That's politics. But the fact is that Trump is championing the other side, saying that climate change doesn't exist. Why? So the oil companies can keep sucking the oil out of the ground and keep burning it, burning fossil fuel. Huge lobby, huge industry, huge, right? To say that we're causing it and we got to reverse that effort. Answers lie in the stock market, right? Is a reversal. So when someone says Trump is causing climate change, well, he's not causing it, but he's not moving the ball in the right direction because of politics.
Looked at the fire is the first time in my life I felt defeated.
With the West choking in smoke, the air quality in cities across the region are among the worst in the world. The the toxic haze blanketing skies as far as 1,000 miles away.
We don't need to be anywhere near this fire to actually be suffering from it. How worried are you about just the health conditions of folks in this state?
The air we're breathing right now is equivalent to smoking 20 packs of cigarettes. It is profound and consequential. The health impacts, strokes.
He said it's like 20 packs of cigarettes. That's ridiculous.
Heart attacks, respiratory issues. This is a challenging time, and we'll get through it.
Tonight across the West, lives and livelihoods are on the line as an unfolding disaster becomes a new permanent reality, engulfing the region in ways we have never experienced before. Miguel Almaguer, NBC News, the Sierra National Forest.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks
So
for
there
checking.
you go. We are not a fan of NBC News, but you have all the money and you have all the photos. I think there's one more.
For folks up and down much of the West Coast, this has been a week of fire and destruction. As of this weekend, western wildfires have burnt through an area.
I'll be honest, I really didn't think that the fires were that. I didn't think it was that ravishing. I really missed this. I mean, I'm just catching up. That's why I'm watching all these videos.
About the size of the state of New Jersey. Correspondent Carter F.
So far, the burned out areas are the size, when you can consolidate all the burned out areas, the size of a piece of property like New Jersey. Wow. It's a lot of burn.
Is in Berry Creek, California.
Never in the American West has so much burned so quickly or so destructively. Escaping the flames often meant driving through them. And every day brings more heartache, news of those who could not get out. This was a week of extremes, record-shattering heat, bone-dry humidity, and powerful winds. From Washington State to Southern California.
Those three things right there. How do you talk about forest management? And I'm not dissing on forest management, of course. But how do you
powerful winds. From Washington, record-shattering heat.
Record-shattering heat.
Bone-dry humidity.
Bone-dry humidity and
powerful winds.
And powerful winds. How does forest management, how does improved forest management change any of that? It doesn't. It doesn't. You have to stop the cause of the problem. You got to go one step before that.
From Washington State to Southern California, entire communities were wiped out. This is Malden, Washington, and what's left of the post office.
Approximately 90% of the town is completely gone.
In Eagle Point, Oregon, block after block, leveled.
Amazing.
This is how a neighborhood in Phoenix, Oregon looked until it was obliterated. In Berry Creek, California, the so-called Bear Fire came through so fast it overran a fire station. 2 trucks still inside.
This used to be a beautiful lakeside community with homes nestled in the woods, and now you look, everywhere there's destruction. The homes here have been incinerated.
The fire that ravaged Berry Creek is now one of the largest ever to hit the state. 6 of the biggest.
Is that forest management dropping Agent Orange, in this case Agent Red, on top of the forest? I'm sure that's healthy. I'm sure this is gonna have a positive effects on human health in the future. Dropping fucking red dye on top of the forest.
Wildfires in California history have broken out this year. As Governor Gavin Newsom surveyed the damage in Butte County, he left no doubt about the culprit.
This is a climate dam emergency. This is real. And it's happening. This is the perfect storm.
I'm aware of what you guys are saying in the chat, that they're finding gas cans and fires being set by psychopaths. I'm not disputing it, but you got to provide the evidence. You got to have pictures, you've got to have video, you got to have some sort of a couple of arrests. Give me something. Don't just say it's happening. And how are you finding out? Where's the evidence, right? Send me a link. If you have evidence, send me the fucking link. I'd love to see it.
It is happening unprecedented ways.
Another governor making multiple disaster tours, Washington's Jay Inslee.
California, Oregon, and Washington, we are all in the same soup of cataclysmic fire.
All right, so cataclysmic fire. What else? So here we go. Armed Oregonians set up illegal roadblock as wildlife conspiracies spread. All right, so let's talk about the conspiracy. All right, everybody's saying, oh, it's a conspiracy. It's the Antifa people setting the fires. Now, Antifa didn't make record drought, record heat, and record, strong winds, right? That was something that happened beforehand. We at least agree on that, right? If there is terrorism going on, if there is domestic terror, people are fueling the fire. They're finding easy targets, like setting fire, lighting some fireworks in a dry forest will set the fucking thing on fire. So that's true. That's true, but we need the evidence. We need the evidence to prove it that these psychopaths are causing it. Remember, Antifa is on the record saying that by any means necessary, I'll play that clip, the clip I played in the beginning. I'm going to play it at the end, and we'll see if it makes sense, right? Is it intentional? Is this shit intentional by people to accelerate the fires? Are the people, Antifa, are they the accelerant causing the fires? At this point, I don't know, right? But armed residents in Oregon set up roadblocks and told people to show their identification after someone started a blaze with fireworks, authorities said. Okay, so there's the New York Post reporting. Someone started a blaze with fireworks. Multnomah County Sheriff said a small fire was started intentionally near Corbett. Okay. Soon after, we started receiving reports of local residents establishing roadblocks in East Multnomah County. Are these kids sneaky enough to go up into the mountains and set fires? Yeah, of course they are. Take a car up there and burn some shit, set it on fire and take off? Yeah. Do they need to find accelerants? Not necessarily. You could rake and matches. You could rake leaves together under a tree, a dry tree, and throw a match on it. It's going to go up. Right? So you might not even find accelerants. Deputies responded to reports some people were armed and asked for identification of folks they stopped. We told people. All right, so here we are in Oregon. Right, long story short, they found evidence of someone setting an intentional fire with fireworks. Okay, that's and armed Oregonians set up a roadblock to stop it. Right? Okay, so you got a little evidence, right? Here's another kid, right? This guy, right? I don't know who this guy is, but let's listen. Antifa thug.
I'm out here in 167 right now. Looks like a fire literally just started. I just rolled up on it, and right now it looks like it's going crazy. I'm here with the police. They're talking to me about it because I just called it in, and that's when they see me pulling off. So
that's a fire on the road.
That's the fire we got going on right now. This is freaking crazy, guys. Holy shit, it's going across the road. Oh my god. I hope they're shutting that shit down, dude.
That's an accelerant for sure. I don't know who this kid is. Somebody sent me this video, but let's listen.
Are they shutting it down? It's going across, man. The wind's blowing it across. Holy fuck, dude.
George's son says, Marcus said, where's the proof? Then he gives you the proof. Yeah, I did give you the proof. I gave you one little tidbit, right? That's what we're doing. We're moving through what's happening, and now let's look and see if it is arson, if there are people agitating. I didn't say it's not possible. I didn't say it's not possible at all. I said, look, human beings, psycho behavior is part of the natural flow of things. When people start getting fucking crazy and they feel like they don't have any opportunities anymore, they burn the motherfucker to the ground. That's what people do. That's human behavior, right? The saying, if you don't let young people into the community, if you don't give them a seat at the table, they will burn the county down just to feel how warm it feels. I never said it wasn't arson. I'm saying that these things that that open the opportunity for something like this to happen is long before the actual consequence. For example, an empty city is vulnerable to looting. If the city is full, it's not prone to looting, right? So when there's people there, there's no looting. In the sense of a fire, if the conditions weren't perfect for a forest fire, then you wouldn't have idiots able to walk into the forest and burn it, is what I'm trying to say. So we're seeing some evidence, a little bit of evidence of idiots going into the forest, setting fires because of their political agenda.
Holy crap. Yeah, this is live. Yeah, we're right here on 167. Yeah, this is just now happening. The wind looks like it's picking up and blowing it across the freeway. I literally just pulled over to call it in because I was coming from the opposite direction.
I think the suspicion here is that he set the fire.
How's your mom's house, though? Good? Okay, cool. I'm glad you guys are safe. It's just scary.
This is way too long.
A little bit of smoke, like a little puff on. I took I-90 west and went through, went on quickly. No, sir. I saw the smoke this morning, but no, they get me for that, yeah.
What were you charged with?
Oh, they tried to say that I
carry a loaded gun.
Right, but open carry state, that's how I usually carry my gun.
Okay. So tell me more about what your comment just was about.
So what I think is I don't really know what to make of this video. September 9. So this kid was apparently arrested and Facebook blah, 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 appears to start a live stream after coming upon a fire. He was arrested for starting the fire. He was a BLM Antifa support protest live streams on his Facebook. So there's some evidence, a little bit. We got two little pieces of evidence. One psychopath starts a fire on the road, and the other, apparently, the sheriffs say that there was some fireworks shot off in the dry area. So that's all I got. I don't know. Show me some more, right? Show me the gas cans. You guys are talking about that in the. I don't want to fight with you, man. I don't want to fight. So Trump says if he wins, he's going to ask for 4 more years, and on top of the 4 he's going to get in November. Watch.
And 51 days from now, we're going to win Nevada, and we're going to win 4 more years in the White House. And after we win 4 more years, we'll ask for maybe another 4 or so.
Pretty heavy, right?
Job, and we have to support our law enforcement.
So I guess that's all I got today. This is a great video.
The communists call not only for extensive chaos within the cities, but for putting to the torch every village, every forest, every field, and every farm.
Job, and we have
the plan is for raging fires from one city to the next. The reason? Well, first, there's the value of sheer destruction. Secondly, it would force us to deploy our defenses and rescue units over the widest possible area. Then they can be picked off from ambush one by one. And the third value of massive fire to the communists is psychological. When at night the only light he has to see by is the flickering red from flames leaping into the sky, he'll become paralyzed with fear and panic as they strike at the community's power centers. Any all-out minority revolution must create a state of crisis wherein almost all of the male population would be forced to remain in their homes to protect their property and family. A few years of violent, sporadic, and highly destructive uprisings will set the stage for the grand finale. America could be brought to her knees in 90 days of highly organized, fierce fighting, sabotage, and massive firestorm.
Well, my friends, it's been confirmed.
The communists call not only for extensive chaos within the cities, but for putting to...
So this is what's going on, right? We could say that, but again, it doesn't negate the fact that the forests are very dry, that Right? It's all the things we're talking about. Right? Thank you very much for sharing. I probably made a couple of enemies, but it's good. Right? Keep coming back. Let's challenge each other. And I'm not. I didn't say that it wasn't. There wasn't accelerants. There wasn't instigators causing the fires at all. I'm just saying that if it wasn't such an opening, right? If we didn't leave ourselves so open in terms of climate, in terms of acceleration of the deterioration of the planet, then maybe, just maybe, it wouldn't have happened, right?
To the torch every village, every forest, every field, and every barn. The plan is for raging fires from one city to the next. The reason? Well, first, there's the value of sheer destruction. Secondly, it would force us to deploy our defenses and rescue units over the widest possible area. Then they can be picked off from ambush one by one. And the third value of massive fire to the communists is psychological. When at night the only light he has to see by is the flickering red from flames leaping into the sky, he'll become paralyzed with fear and panic as they strike at the community's power center. Any all-out minority revolution must create a state of crisis wherein almost all of the male population would be forced to remain in their homes to protect their property and family. A few years of violent, sporadic, and highly destructive uprisings will set the stage for the grand finale. America could be brought to her knees in 90 days of highly organized, fierce fighting, sabotage, and massive firestorms.
Well, my friends, it's been confirmed. Antifa is starting these fires all across the nation, but it's a little bit more complicated than that. So we have a mixture here, and I believe this is the full story, but after looking at all the reports and doing a little bit more research, as more information has come out since the morning when I originally reported on this story. So here's what I found. Of course, you have wildfires across the country raging right now. Some of them were started by accident, just like what happened in California with the gender reveal party. We know that was an accident. However, other fires seem man-made. Along the I-5, for example, a bunch of sporadic fires started all at once, and they are suspected by police of being man-made. Now, I want you to look at this. On the Gateway Pundit, Antifa radical arrested for arson in Washington State was caught on the highway live streaming on Facebook before arrest. Now, we talked a little bit about this person before, but it has now been confirmed that this man has a very long history of supporting social justice left-wing causes. So, reading a little bit of information from this article, Wednesday evening, a Washington man named Jeffrey Acord called 911 to report a fire on the side of SR 167 near Puyallup, Washington. Now, here's the funny thing. This guy literally films his own arrest. I believe he live streamed it. And in the video, you can basically see him lying to police officers. The cops are like, it's kind of funny to see you here at a second fire today. And he's like, yeah, that's what I told the other cop. They arrested him. Obviously, he was the one behind the fires, but who is this guy? What are his political affiliations? And is he truly an Antifa radical? Well, that's what it's looking like, folks. Let's take a look at the evidence here. Okay, so back in 2014, Seattle officers reported that Jeff Acord, the same man who started the fires in Puyallup,